And somebody who's going to certainly need as much fortification as he possibly can get is James Comey. James Comey is the top line lead of the show. We were too excited about our historic white pill to get to this, but what we've learned over the last 24 hours is that it wasn't just the seashells that got James Comey in trouble, indicted, and arrested. It was actually some of the subtext behind these seashells, somebody who's been studying this for quite a while and who knows the ins and outs, who actually, and I can't believe I can even say this about one of my friends, read James Comey's book that he was hyping and promoting at the time, is the great journalist and somebody who's been OG hardcore MAGA since, I don't know, 2015, since perhaps even before MAGA was first initiated on the golden elevators, the great Jack Posobiec. Jack joins us live right now. Jack, welcome back to the program. We have something that is very curious here with the James Comey indictment. It's, of course, under seal, so we don't know exactly what was presented to the grand jury. But you have a suspicion that it's not just James Comey in a Borat Speedo arranging seashells while listening to Taylor Swift.
Well, that's exactly right. And Benny, I have to, thank you and the audience here for when you played that clip of Attorney General Blanche yesterday being asked about me, of all things,
yes,
and a post that I had made years and years ago in the context of Joe Biden needing the 25th Amendment, as I'm pretty sure we were all saying, including Kamala Harris, which is what I had been reporting at the time behind the scenes, that Attorney General Blanche pointed out. He said, no, we don't make indictments based off of just speech alone. We don't make indictments just based off an Instagram image of seashells. We do investigations. They take a full year. The grand jury interviews people. We look at evidence. And that is what an indictment is based on. So you start with something and then you investigate, and then you get to the point where the grand jury felt it was appropriate to make an indictment in this case. Now, as we've looked further, one of the things that we popped out, and shout out to the great Viva Fry, because he was the first one to put this together last year. And then I went back and actually looked at what he was talking about, to your point about this book. So you have to realize there was a trilogy of Instagram posts that he had made that day. One was him reading a book, then the seashells, then a link to purchase the book and a description of the book. And it may surprise many people who are listening only to the mainstream media or the CBSs of the world, who, by the way, still haven't invited me on. And even though they're happy to call for me to be indicted, they won't even ask me if I'd like to respond in any way.
Right.
Well, it turns out that the subject matter of the novel was political assassinations. And not only that, Benny, but when I went in deeper in the book, I found out that specifically it was about dog whistles calling for political assassinations. So using coded text, coded language, coded phrases to call for these assassinations. And the villain in this novel is kind of basically Alex Jones. It's basically a write-up of Alex Jones, and the main character, who is totally not a female James Comey, is this hero New York prosecutor who's the only one who can come.
His daughter. Oh, Maureen Comey. Oh, got it.
Maureen
Okay.
Comey. Yeah.
Oh,
is the only one who can come in and save the world from the evil Alex Jones, who again is using secret codes to call upon his followers to conduct political assassinations. And again, this is the plot of James Comey. I'm not saying this. This is the plot of James Comey's book. Is the actual plot of FDR Drive. If you read it, which I unfortunately have, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. But what's more sinister than anything else is, keep in mind that this came out right around the same time when these stories were being written about that TV show, The Savant, by Jessica Chastain, that they were putting together, which also had a similar plot line. Now, they had to pull that after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and many people had suspected that it had a very similar plot line to the James Comey book, and that's why it had to be pulled. I think there were some rumors of, advanced copies and screeners kind of floating around that sort of purported to this. So the real question is, number one, of course, who was pushing this narrative in media, which is a broader question that I want to get into. But the deeper question here is that means that James Comey knew exactly what he was talking about. And there are going to be text messages and emails and interviews and witnesses, all to the point of underlying and examining. He had intent, he had strategy, he had purpose. And the piece that everybody was missing in the indictment was the asset forfeiture. Why would there be asset forfeiture involved in an indictment like this, you ask, especially to all the people who say, oh, well, we don't know, what evidence there is. Well, here's a clue, and it's a big blinking signpost. Asset forfeiture means you made money. You received proceeds from an offense, proceeds from a crime. This is, of course, illegal under federal law. You cannot commit a crime and then make money from your criminal behavior. I've written books. I've never committed crimes in the promotion of my books. But it seems that the Department of Justice and this grand jury is saying this guy did something for money. There is motive here. And that's where I believe that it all comes together, that this was a scheme to conduct this incitement in order to get the headlines and then play victim and then sell copies of his book, which he did on Stephen Colbert and others. He knew what he was doing from the very start. And I know that you've made the point as well. He clearly lied about this over and over and over. And the question is, did he lie about it to federal agents?
Yes, we just found the shells. No, you didn't, bro. You didn't just find the shells. You weren't walking on the beach with your wife. You were sitting there hyping your book. You put the shells together clearly as a promo. And it would be pretty easy, I guess, if you wanted to go around and lie about it for a federal agents to say, here's all your DNA on a shell, right? Like you clearly, if you did this. I mean, if they were really on it, Jack.
I will admit that I went a little Zapruder film with this, because if you actually look in the first picture of him sitting on the beach, he's surrounded by seashells. And so I was like,
hey, Alex, do we have that? Do we have the old
seashells?
Are those still up on Instagram?
Seashells at the second. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Alex, will you grab that on Instagram? Like, producer Alex or Danny, can you see if we can get that?
It's clearly the same beach. It's clearly, if it's not those shells, it's like shells that were right there, obviously.
James Comey's Instagram. Let's go see if he's wiped all of this, be from 1 year ago, or if those photos of him on the beach hyping and hawking his garbage book, if those still exist. Because if they do, it'll be okay. Well, here we go. Here's a screenshot of what James Comey's Instagram looked like at the time. So here it is to back up what Jack is talking
the trilogy
about.
Of posts.
So here's James Comey with the exact same seashells right next to him.
See?
That's right there.
They're right there.
There they are.
Where could the shells have come from?
This is full Zapruder. You're exactly right, Jack. Dude. Yeah. Those are the same shells.
It's literally the same shells.
So James Comey is on Stephen Colbert's show, blaming all this on his wife, saying that he and his wife were just taking a leisurely stroll down the beach and they saw this. And his explanation makes no sense on Stephen Colbert. Not even Stephen Colbert was buying it, obviously. Somebody left their address. Oh, wait, this is something from my childhood when we'd 86 a place. Let's get out of this pop stand. Like all of it was silly. Stephen Colbert tried to back him up, but it didn't make any sense either, make a joke. So they probably launched this. How Shakespearean, Jack, that they would do this, because this is exactly the perjury trap that James Comey sprung for General Flynn, isn't it?
And it certainly is in the early days of the White House administration. And so the Trump's first administration. And so this is why it's in some ways, it's a sort of poetic justice for James Comey to be facing this, because he himself set the perjury trap for General Flynn. But what's I think even more damning for him is going to be the fact that clearly this was all planned out. And clearly, again, if you look at the plot of the book, it's a book about a guy using dog whistles to call for political assassinations. And the idea that he himself would write a book about that, but then suddenly have no idea what they are in reality, just doesn't pass the smell test. Because in fact, sir, not only are you aware of these things, you literally wrote the book about these things. It's right here. You're promoting it. We have all the evidence we need with 400, 500 pages of evidence, whatever it is. So this idea that, because I saw some people running around saying, oh, we can't prove intent. We can't prove intent. It's right there. It's right there. It's so obvious. And by the way, in cases around the country every single day, intent is proven over and over and over. And so even for people who say, oh, well, there are, the restaurants say 86, and like Green Day has a song called 86 from the 90s. And it's actually a pretty good song. I'll give them credit. It was before they went like totally crazy and lost their minds. I got to be fair, Benny. I got to be fair. But
full Subaru lesbians.
Yeah. It was before they bought the Subarus, you know what I'm saying? And his hair was like kind of close to the original color, whatever that was. The mascara wasn't completely out yet. I don't know. But the idea is that he clearly meant it in this vein because he was writing and selling and marketing a book about it. It's very clear as day. And to my mind, that's why the grand jury, keep in mind, a grand jury is already a group of people who come together and look at evidence and decide whether or not charges should be filed. And even in just, again, being fair in the interest of that, there have been other times where grand juries have refused to go and file charges on Comey because they thought, it was either political or they were just too political, a DC grand jury, et cetera. So this time around, they said, no, this is an incitement to violence.
This is my final question for you, Jack, because I think it is a critical one. He didn't do this on Martha's Vineyard. He did this in Republican area of North Carolina, and that's where he's charged. And so how is this going to shake out?
Well, the way it's going to shake out is that he's going to have to, now he'll initially file for the charges to be dismissed. He'll say you haven't proven probable cause, you don't have enough evidence, and at which point they'll have to have the preliminary hearing, which is similar to what we're seeing happen with Tyler Robinson. The preliminary hearing actually hasn't occurred yet. That'll be happening here in about 2.5 weeks. And so that's when the evidence actually is revealed. And that's the point that I'm hoping in both of these cases, that we as the public, and of course we as American citizens, get to see everything unveiled for the full public, for the light of day, unsealed. It's not every piece of it that you're going to get. They usually save more for trial, but at some point we are going to see video. We're going to see, and in the James Comey case, we're going to see emails. We're going to see text messages. We're going to see, did he have conversations with his book publisher and his marketing agents about this, guerrilla marketing, viral outrage campaign to get it out? Because look, I've marketed books. We did AI songs and videos, and we held events. We went down to Mar-a-Lago and did a whole thing. Actually, the SPLC wrote us up. So I have to thank the SPLC for helping me make the New York Times list by going after my book so hard that it made everyone want to buy it. But you know what I didn't do, Benny, is I didn't threaten to kill the president of the United States. I just, it didn't seem like a good, in fact, I don't even remember anyone suggesting that.
ALX knows what I'm going to call for here. I'm going to call for the photo of Jack staring down the face of the helmeted Antifa gimp that wanted to kill him and was threatening to kill him in a mob. I personally witnessed this. And I think this is probably a good way to close on this subject matter, because assassination culture is, of course, normalized. Yeah. On the left, they don't get any hit back. Nobody ever gets punished for this. Jimmy Kimmel keeps his job. He can make whatever jokes he wants to about Charlie and his death and his grieving widow. None of these people are ever punished. And that is why I'm going to cheerlead this to wherever it goes, because here's the photo. And I was standing just to the right of this. And this was a mob that was trying to kill Jack. And it was Jack versus probably 70 people at least, frothing at the mouth, Antifa, BLM, defund the police activists. And it changed me forever. Actually, witnessing this is when I went home and told my wife, we're leaving DC, because it'll be our child or us next. And these people they've gone over a cliff. They're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. Even down here in Florida, there are multiple people that have been charged and are waiting in federal prison right now for trials for trying to kill my family, Jack. So this is like a normal thing that people deal with. Someone has to be punished for it. Savannah Hernandez is obviously going to be bringing charges. This is great to see that happening with Savannah. What happens next? Does this just accelerate exponentially to open hot war, or does something chill out here?
It's really interesting, Benny. There's a clip of an interview that we did actually when I was promoting Unhumans, the communism book, and it was a clip with Charlie that I just keep going back to, where he asked me this really poignant question. And, in the now, year and a half or so since then, it's taken on a life of its own. He said, Jack, how big was the Russian Empire? And I said, well, it's Russia, Charlie. It's like 100 million people. It's huge, right? It's giant empire. He goes, okay, because this is Charlie. He's very quantitative. And he goes, okay, and how many Bolsheviks were there? And I said, I don't know. At one point, probably about 1,000 in the whole country. And he says, well, how could a country that large succumb to a group that small? How could they do it? How could they take over the entire Russian Empire? And I said, Charlie, people didn't take it seriously. They didn't take it seriously. And now here we are a year and a half later, and people still aren't taking it seriously, Benny. They're not taking seriously the threat that if someone is willing to use, or a group of people is willing to throw off all shackles of morality and humanity, and to use the most brutal, vindictive, and bloodthirsty tactics imaginable, the Mangionis, the Tyler Robinsons, the Cole Thomas Allens, they're not going to stop. They are not going to stop until they're stopped.
We're incredibly thankful for the DOJ. It seems to have gotten supercharged under Todd Blanchard the last couple of weeks. Or maybe Todd Blanchard just like finishing the work and doing it quickly, right, to move on. But either way, we're thankful for the results. And the only way that you can possibly have a result here is to charge the SPLC, is to charge the people who are writing seashell notes of assassination or attacking Savannah. That's the only way that it'll stick, or to go after the fraudsters and put them all in jail, and to like frog march them and show people you can't do that. You have to show people. There has to be a gear that grinds against this. Otherwise, we'll all be dead. Right?
It's a law of the universe. For every action, there needs to be an equal and opposite reaction. It's a law of physics.
The equal and opposite reaction happening to James Comey right now, and the man who's been investigating it and literally wrote the book on it is Jack Posobiec. Please go ahead and follow Jack here. Of course, he has millions and millions of subscribers, and Jack has a show available on Human Events and on Rav every single day. Also, a proud turning pointer with me, and so thank you, Jack, for being in the fight.
Thank you. And I wore my Benny Johnson uniform today, so I wanted to be in solidarity here.
I know. I noticed our backgrounds and everything we're slowly blending together. If only I just got to grow the beard,
Exactly. Yeah. Or I got to shave. Maybe we'll see.
Thank you, Jack. Godspeed.
See you, man.